Everyone, I'm Matt, and welcome to the Good Trouble Show. We have some breaking information, bombshell information about AARO and its director, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, that you don't know about, Congress doesn't know about, but should know about. So, folks on Capitol Hill, especially the staffers, you are going to want to watch this in its entirety. But first, do us a solid and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Leave a comment, share, like, all that good stuff. It helps get our message out. Perhaps most importantly, we need help keeping the lights on. You can become a supporter of the Good Trouble Show by going to www.patreon.com/The Good Trouble Show. And for the price of a coffee, you can help support our work. Super chats are also open and a great way to show your support for the show. We really do appreciate it. We're very lucky to have some really great fans. Now, if you've been following us, you are aware that Congress wrote legislation requiring the Pentagon to create a permanent office within the Department of Defense to investigate UFOs. That office is called AARO, or All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, led by Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. This office is mandated by Congress to provide classified reports to Congress and unclassified reports to the public. Now, this, of course, was huge news that this thing was ever created in the first place. Huge news until this happened.
The UAP Task Force Director asked me to identify all special access programs and controlled access programs, also known as SAPs and CAPs, we needed to satisfy our congressionally mandated mission, and we were direct report at the time to the DepSecDef. At the time, due to my extensive executive level intelligence support duties, I was cleared to literally all relevant compartments and in a position of extreme trust, both in my military and civilian capacities. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it. I made the decision, based on the data I collected, to report this information to my superiors and multiple inspectors general, and in effect becoming a whistleblower.
Thank you. My last question, and sometimes I know that you have also said some of these answers in the past, but we're trying to get them on the public record as well, which is really important. Mr. Grusch, finally, do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General, and some of which to the intelligence committees. I actually had the people with the firsthand knowledge provide a protected disclosure to the inspector.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Wow, okay, so that's former high-ranking intelligence official David Grusch, who testified under oath, keep this in mind, under oath, to the House Oversight Committee alleging that the Pentagon had been hiding and lying to Congress about a UFO back engineering and crash retrieval program. So, of course, one of the elephants in the room, really kind of after, and there are many elephants in the room with this whole topic, was the question as to whether Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, as head of AARO, had reached out to David Grusch to testify to AARO about these allegations, or had reached out to Grusch following his hearing. Now, last week, we were the first to drop this bombshell. So, here's a question. Has anyone from AARO reached out to whistleblower David Grusch? The answer is no. No one from AARO, including its leader, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, has reached out to David Grusch or his attorney via any form of official communication. None. Zilch. Not an email, not a phone call, or even a message from a carrier pigeon. Absolutely nothing. Carrier pigeon. I'm even wearing the same tie. Go figure. And guess I need to buy some more ties. Now, perhaps Kirkpatrick did not know how to contact Dave. I mean, maybe we should cut the guy, a break. But let me count the ways how Dr. Kirkpatrick could have found David Grusch. He could have found him on the JWICS directory, which is a classified system for people with TSSCI clearance. He could have contacted the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency or U.S. Air Force Human Resources Department. They have his information. He could have asked his former boss, Big Daddy Ronald Moultrie. He could have even asked his current boss, Undersecretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks, who, by the way, seems to lose a lot of our taxpayer money in the defense budget, but that's for another thing. Go watch the Jon Stewart video on that. It's freaking hilarious. Anyway, he could have literally asked any congressional staffer on the Hill. What else? Okay, so here's a good question. How could Kirkpatrick have found David Grusch's attorney? Oh, I know. He could have used Google. In fact, David Grusch's attorney, Chuck McCullough from Compass Rose Legal Group, has, check this out, a really nice looking website that looks a hell of a lot more professional than the AARO one. Now, speaking of the AARO website, 2 years in the making, probably lots of phone calls to GoDaddy technical support and Sean watching YouTube videos on how to create a Google document for your website, Sean Kirkpatrick finally updated the AARO website. Now, proud of his newly added Google Doc for whistleblowers to come to the AARO honeypot, he held a rare press conference and had this to say to reporters about David Grusch.
There's sort of this sense among some whistleblowers, Grusch included, that, AARO is trying to sort of cover up what happened. And this quote here is interesting. Basically, Dr. Kirkpatrick today said that he had tried reaching out to UFO whistleblower David Grusch several times to talk to him recently and didn't get a response. David Grusch sent me that text message and said, I have 0 emails or calls from them. That is a lie.
Reached out to Grusch several times? I mean, did this guy do it like via his magic carpet or something? Seriously. So stop and think about this. Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick just accused one of our veterans of perjuring himself in front of Congress. The same guy who the Intelligence Community Inspector General classified his case as, quote, credible and urgent. Well, just as we did last week, we can tell you unequivocally, friends in Congress, Sean Kirkpatrick is completely lying to you and the public about David Grusch. As we reported, David Grusch and his attorney have received no form of communication from Sean Kirkpatrick or his team at AARO in any way, shape, or form. Period. Like, no shit. He has not contacted them at all. Kirkpatrick goes on to state that he hasn't spoken to Grusch in over 5 years, and even then, it wasn't about UAP. Remember this?
On the 19th of April, Dr. Kirkpatrick, head of AARO, had said that he did not find any evidence of UAPs. You also stated that you had, in your interview, that you had briefed him on information that you were uncovering, but that he did not follow up with you. Were the items that you divulged to him pertinent to national security?
Yes, him and I had a classified conversation in April 2022 before he took over AARO in July 2022, and I provided him some concerns I had.
Do you know why he might not have followed up with you?
Unfortunately, I cannot read his mind. I wish he did. I was happy to give sage counsel to him on where to look when he took the helm of AARO.
Yeah, I want to know what's in the mind of Sean Kirkpatrick. So, Sean, are you sure about that? I mean, seriously, you should tell Congress about the myriad of emails David Grusch and his team from the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency exchanged with you and AARO regarding UAP. Forget about that? While you're at it, Sean, you should, here's a good bit of breaking news for you. So, Sean, you should tell Congress about the government UAP conference in 2022 held in the Washington, D.C. area that you spoke at. You know, the one that David Grusch was at? The conference with over 200 government employees from the Department of Defense and the intelligence community. A fucking government conference about the national security problem of UAPs, UFOs, whatever you want to call them, for the DOD and IC. Did you forget about that one? I mean, seriously. I mean, how about the fact, Sean, while you were at Spacecom, you were advising the UAP task force, the one David Grusch worked on. You were even in the same building as David Grusch. I mean, come on, Sean, how were those water cooler conversations with Dave? I want to know. On Congress, perhaps it might be worth subpoenaing Sean Kirkpatrick's calendar to see, well, maybe if he might have had some meetings with David Grusch about UFOs while he was on the UAP task force. Might want to check that out. So if I were a betting man, I'd say you are not, and this is to Congress, you're not being told quite a bit. Now, to the 40-something people who work for AARO, I ask you, is this the kind of leadership you want to be under? A program director that posts temper tantrums on LinkedIn and slanders a United States Air Force veteran who has the balls to turn his life upside down and testify in front of Congress, all for the love of his country? Do you want to work for an organization whose leader wants to entice whistleblowers to testify while taking advice from an ad hoc advisory board that has retired legacy program gatekeepers sitting on it? The same ones that have been retaliating against these whistleblowers and lying to Congress. I mean, I sure wouldn't want to, but hey, AARO employees, fear not. Now, it's been rumored that Dr. Kirkpatrick is on the way out of AARO for quite some time. The effort by Sean to derail Grusch and by any extension and investigation into legacy programs and its gatekeepers sure looks like it may be paying off. Now, this morning we found this on the web. Put this up here. No, not that one. Here we go. So here's. Looks like Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick has a contact. Well, actually, this is somebody that looks like he's on board or she's onboarding Sean Kirkpatrick at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Now, it looks like Kirkpatrick may be riding into the gatekeeper sunset, working for Oak Ridge Laboratory. Now, we did do some digging here, and one of the other things we found, we looked at the HTML code for this for the website here, and check this out. This was actually posted today, November 1st. This was posted on the DNS server, so Wednesday, November 1st, 2023, on the Oak Ridge site this morning. Now, keep in mind, this is the lab run by the Department of Energy and run by the Battelle Memorial Institute. That's a tongue tire, which is sort of rumored to have been historically involved in the UAP issue that Ronald Moultrie was on the advisory board for. The same Battelle, by the way, that Stephanie O'Sullivan, who sits on the board of, that Chris Sharp, our good friend from the Liberation Times, reported lied to Senator Rubio about knowing anything about a UAP crash retrieval and back engineering program. Now, before going on the air, we saw our good friend Ross Coulthard was on to the same lead. And after all, you can't keep a good story down, and certainly a good journalist like Ross, who is a personal hero of mine. By the way, if you're not following his work on the Need to Know podcast with Bryce Zabel, my friends, you are missing out. But I digress. So, Congress, congressional staffers, you have to stop and ask yourself, is this kind of behavior acceptable? I mean, seriously, I can't possibly fathom Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick has gone rogue or is this fucking stupid. He is a bad look for AARO. He is slandering a whistleblower. I mean, and think about this too. After all, he answers to the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Kathleen Hicks. We also reported that he has legacy program retirees sitting on his advisory board. These are the same people Kirkpatrick did not want to tell you about, but I know a lot of you now know, thank God. But you have to ask yourself, Why did Sean not want to tell you about that? So, Congress, you tasked AARO with getting to the truth about the UAP phenomenon. It's time you demand Undersecretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks put someone in charge of AARO that cares about the truth as much as you do. And as the blue fairy told Pinocchio, quote, a lie keeps growing and growing until it's as clear as the nose on your face. Someone just needs to tell the Pinocchio from AARO that.